Good morning, lovely people. How are you all today? I hope you're well. Yay, it's the beginning of August and I'm going to take you all for a little walk around the garden. But before I do, I just wanted to say a huge, massive, there's no word big enough to say how big I want the thank you to be for all your amazing, beautiful, kind, compassionate, in some cases funny messages a few days ago. Wow, you completely bowled me over with your kindness. So I thank you hugely, massively, bigly, other big words. It's just made the biggest difference possible, you can't even imagine. And I had a few days away from the computer, away from everything, just kind of got my head back into a better space, and that was so much was because of your lovely, kind and encouraging words. So yes, I'm going to carry on for now, and we'll start with the garden at the beginning of August. And I love August. It's my favourite time of year in the garden. Well, it's so hard to say, isn't it? I say my favourite time is every month. But I love August because the garden is at its absolute most burstingest. That's not a real word, is it? It is now. There's still some growth happening, but it's the month when it's sort of everything comes to a climax before it starts to gradually fade as we inexorably slide towards autumn and winter. So yeah, it's at its most lush. It's starting to produce. Anyway, instead of me sitting here telling you that, why don't I actually show you? Come on, let's go down the garden. Wow, it's so hot and bright out here already. It's only about 8:30 in the morning. It's crazy. It's actually quite a nice temperature at the moment. It wouldn't do for any work though. It occurs to me that you should stop the video right now if you've got time and go back and watch the July video and then watch this, because the difference is amazing. I was mentioning it the other day on my Facebook page about taking photographs of your gardens regularly, because wow, the changes can be humongous. So here we are, as always, at the top of the garden, swinging round. You can see, the light's so bright. The lily is over. It only ever does for about 2 weeks, but it's worth it because it's so lovely. The cosmos finally decided to get going. Do you remember I was really struggling to have any flowers this year? And then, in a fit of pique, I chucked in the last bits of a couple of Nicotiana seeds, and they finally came up. So yay, a few flowers. Not as many as in previous years, but there's still a few there to just make people smile as they walk past my plot, and to make the bees smile. So this bed has really changed in this last month, because gone are all the onions. You see in there, basically the onions have been replaced with brassicas. So I've got 3 rows of January King in here, and then just hop over this a sec, under here, although look, my nets aren't quite long enough, whoops. I've got a row and a half, nearly 2 rows of Cavallo Nero under here, and then I've got a row and a half of Brussels sprouts, Groninger. Yay! And then I thought, because you're not going to be able to see under the net, are you? There's no way there's any more carrots are going to come up, so I've just plugged some of the gaps with a few spare January King from my 3rd sowings of brassicas. But what's lovely is I do have some spare brassicas now, so finally I can do what I really like to do, whoopsie, and that's start to give a few things away, because I've been helped out so much this year with tomato plants, etc., that it's really nice to be able to return the favour and give some of my brassicas away. Then over here, the flint corn. Oh, it looks like it needs a bit of a feed, doesn't it? It's looking a bit pale. It's not quite as tall this year. But, yeah, tassels there, cobs are forming. I think because it's been it's been a very remarkable year in terms of weather. You know, not just the heat, but the drought that's come with it. That I don't think it's going to be the best year to sort of try and make judgments or decisions about anything. So yeah, this may be small because of the heat and the dryness, I'm not sure, but it's growing, that's the main thing. I need to do some watering down here. Look, celery are gasping for water, and I did do that one to blanch it up, or the two of them. But our lovely friend Steve, who appears as Digwell Greenfingers, thank you Steve, always has great advice. And he was saying that I shouldn't really do that until about 20 days or so before I want to harvest. So I won't do the rest of them until I'm ready to harvest, but those two I will harvest soon-ish. Yeah, everything needs a really, really good soak. It's all looking a bit floppy. And then look at my paprika peppers. Aren't they crazy gorgeous? I don't know why. I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't really expecting these sorts of shapes. They're gorgeous, and there's loads of them. So they're all sort of tucked under there, under the leaves. So yes, I will have paprika peppers. Woohoo! I'll have to do a bit of research actually, because I don't know when to pick them to begin to dry them before I then grind them. But I'm delighted to see that they've grown. Now, I've got a bit of harvesting to do. Oh my goodness, oh the poor tomatoes really need watering. But I'm chuffed. Actually, I've got masses to harvest. All sorts, all varieties, all shapes, all sizes. Yay! Oh, my friends really did come good for me, didn't they, with all their donations. And even my own, that I had no hope for, are coming good too. So, yikes. Oh, it's masses and masses of fruit coming. I'm so chuffed. So chuffed. Last weekend when we had the storms, the tomatoes took a right battering. But because the ground was finally a bit softer, I was able to sort of put some slightly larger stakes in and try and get them a little bit more under control, because they've been very naughty and floppy and wayward. But isn't that a happy sight? Oh, I'm chuffed, I'm chuffed. Everywhere I look, there are ripe ones ready. Oh my goodness, I really, really do have a lot of harvesting to do. Wonderful. The squash, I think, have absolutely loved this weather. Now, you can't really see it, and this is one of the things I love about the squash. You can barely see where the fruits are until you go properly hunting underneath the leaves. And then, when you do, the gorgeousness is revealed. There's a butternut there, and and can you see in there, let's see if I can just hop over. Hoopla! There's one of the Rouge Visquetombe, and just next to it there is another. Oh, flowers are in the way. Let me show you this one. Oh, it's getting chunky monkey, that one. So I love it every now and again when I'm having a watering session. I put the cans down for a minute and just go hunting out the lovely fruits. I have seen loads. I see them one day on there, some more. I see them one day, and then by the next day on there, and then another lovely one there. Yeah, I find them one day, and by the next day I've lost them again. In the same way that I've lost my path. Oh, that's a new one. What's that? Oh, I think that's the Geet Okusomin. Yes, of which I had one seed left. I planted a random one in there. And then, look, another baby forming there. Oh, it's fab. Fab. I love the squash for this very reason. Then this Well, it's supposed to be, I'll try and show you the peppers and cukes in a minute, but then I had the random baby butternut that went up, and it's gone along and along and along and along. It doesn't know when to stop. But it too is starting to fruit. Isn't that gorgeous, beautiful colour and so glossy in the sunshine? Love it, love it, love it. Now, down here in this lot, it's nigh on impossible to see anything. It's gone absolutely mad crazy. Oh, there is a cucumber that definitely needs picking. Yeah, after I finish chatting with... Oh, and another one. I don't even know if I can get in there to show you. We'll see. Yeah, after I finish chatting with you lovely people, I'm going to come around with my basket and do some picking. There's a pepper. There's peppers under there. They're kind of hard to see at the moment. There we go, because they're still so green. But once they start to turn orange, I'm hoping that lots will be revealed. So yeah, I think definitely the squash have enjoyed the heat and the sunshine. I'll show you the beans in a sec, but as proof of them enjoying, you see the carnival there? Lord, it's taken over. I've got no path here anymore, nor do I have a path here. So let's talk about the beans for a second. They've really not enjoyed this hot summer. I do have some. The other arch, the other side is better. But if you remember, this took 3 sowings. The direct sowings, pot sowings, and then another load of pot sowings. So it's not the lush green corridor I was hoping for. But, you know, it is producing. I've had a load fresh, but the things which are left on here now, they'll all be left for drying. And then the bolottis, which turned out to be bush, not climbers, they've produced, so they are now just staying on the plants there to dry. And once they're good and dry and rattling in their papery pods, I'll have them away home. But if you think where that bush is, I've got what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe 10 pods on there. If it had been a climber, I'd have had 50 pods, which is why I prefer to do the climber over the bush. So I think next year I'm going to start with new seed that's definitely a climber, so that we don't have this mistake going on again, because it's, I don't know, it's just, it feels like a waste of space in such a small garden. Now in here, this is the, oh, there we go. There's some carnivals forming. This plant has masses of fruit on it. I'm actually going to have to bring you around the other way to show you, because I can't jump that far. Right, let's reverse. Oh, gardener reversing, gardener reversing, gardener reversing. The Coco de Pampol, they're okay. Again, they're looking a little bit stunted and tiddly this year. So, oh, I don't know. Again, it's that thing of, I don't know whether it's the heat, the drought, quite what. I do think I'm going to try and get some muck this winter for my beds, just to enrich the soil again. But, you know, the beans are coming. That's all that matters, isn't it? So they may be a bit littler than in previous years, but they're coming. And then, do you remember these tomatoes I planted that were only a few inches high, and I thought they wouldn't come to anything, but I thought I'll bung them in anyway. Yay, masses and masses of fruit on these as well. And over here, sorry, that was a bit quick, and there. So these are the Rose de Berne from the seed I saved from my tomato I brought back from France. Chuffed. So I haven't been for a couple of days. The lettuce has bolted. Oh well, some of it has, some of it hasn't, but I've had masses and masses and masses of lettuce from here, so I'm not complaining. What I'll do is, all the stuff that's bolted, I'll have it out, and I'll just re-sow some more. There is one baby butternut growing, can we see in there? Yeah, we'll have this lot out and start again with some fresh seed. Beetroot is doing fine. Oh, sorry, that wasn't a baby butternut, that's a honey boat, supposed to be. In here, where I had the baby butternuts, they've just done nothing whatsoever, which would be disappointing if it weren't for the fact that I have these monsters. They're doing so well. So in here, this is the Calendula. Beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. Really happy with those, and others developing around the back. But the Carnival, this one just doesn't know when to stop. A couple there, oopsie, and then through. A couple more there, and then just a little bit beyond there's a couple more. So yeah, I think I counted 12 fruits on this plant, so that's really rather fabulous. Can I get through? Can I find somewhere to put my foot that isn't on a fruit? Yay! And here we have the Violina, which is also producing beautifully. I haven't looked down here for a couple of days. Oh, masses. Oh, I've got some calendula to harvest too, haven't I? Hang on, let's just hop over. Where did I see? Oh, hey Poppy. Yeah, there's loads coming on this one as well. And what I love, this is what I was saying about how in August everything's kind of at its most sort of lush, bountiful in terms of growth, and then give it another few weeks and all this foliage will start to die back, start to wither and shrivel away, and that's when all the treasures, all these beauties will finally be revealed. Fantastic. Love it. Sorry, excuse me. I do like how this has worked this year, but obviously Carnival, with it grows in a sort of clumping form rather than having one particular leader. I think what I would do if I did it next year, so I'll see how they taste, and if I love the taste, considering how prolific it's been, it will definitely be a keeper. But what I would do is probably put it over into the bed where I've got all my horizontal squash, and instead have, say, just regular butternut here to grow up, because then hopefully I can use the space underneath a little bit too. So like as I have done here with the chard, which is bountiful and beautiful, and I'm having leaves away all the time, but you'd never know it because it's still pretty chock full. Ah, yes, the lentils. The lentils are under here. So, talking of experiments, let's see. Can you see delicate wee little pods with a teeny tiny lentil in? So I don't think it's going to come to much this year. I think the squash took over. I didn't realise quite how much the squash was going to take over, and I think ideally the lentil needs way more light and space. So I'm probably going to do it again next year, but give it its own bed so it's not competing quite so much with this monster. You're a monster! It just goes on and on and on. It carries on, but it's flocked over. But I think on the whole, I'm happy with how this bed has worked in terms of moving the beans to the pathways instead of having them in the middle of the bed has given me the space to have all of this that I've not had in previous years. It's really given me a load more space, and going vertical with the squash has meant that I've had crops underneath too, which is fantastic. And speaking of beans, these arches have done a bit better. Perhaps the gigantes don't mind the heat as much as the others, but looks like I'm going to have an okay harvest. You know, there are plenty of them. So, you know, fingers crossed that the gigantes will do for me. The soissons, on the other hand, on the other side, this is the climbing French bean. It's like a sort of a haricot. Well, goodness me, I'm going to be lucky if I get one feed from these. Oh, what a shame. But you don't know until you try. And again, it's one of those things, I don't know whether to try them again next year and just assume that this year was a bit of a weirdy one, or just say, you know what, I tried them, yeah, they weren't great, I won't bother again, and instead I will do more gigantes and more gigantes, because it's such a great bean anyway, such a beautiful bean. Why bother with the ones that aren't going to grow for me? Yeah, jury's out on that one at the moment. Oh. So, and also next year, if I do the arches, I need to do something a little bit stronger on the end to hold it up there, rather than have it flop to there. But I've got ideas for that too. Calendulas, my goodness, I've been picking. This whole bed I picked clean about 4 or 5 days ago. So yeah, I need to do a massive deadheading and harvesting session. Oh, looks like some of the chickpeas are probably ready. Oh, and here's the law of sod for you. Do you know what I was saying about the borlotti and their bush not climbers? And then I had a few leftover seed, and I thought, well, I'll just put them in pots. I'll bung them in here, more little bushes of borlottis. There we go. Turns out the ones I put in here are climbers. And they found their way to the bean arch. Oh, it's sod's law, isn't it? You put them in a bed as a bush, and they climb. You put them against a pole as a climber, and they're a bush. And also, look at this jungle of tomatoes. Hang on, I've got to tiptoe out of here. These, again, were all my tilly little runts that were doing nothing, and I bunged them in just to cover the ground. But yeah, loads of flowers, some fruit setting, great stuff. Over there in that far corner, that's the remains of the rocking core that I've left for seed saving. Actually, they can probably come out soon, and then I could get even more brassicas in. A few more mixture of bush beans here to have soon. The fennel have really struggled. They've really not come to anything this year. You see in there. But real tiddlers. Whatever's there, I'll have out and I'll enjoy anyway. So my main crops, this is my Cara. I'll probably leave those a little bit longer. They are starting to die back. And then a few days ago, I managed to get my new potatoes out. Oh my goodness, it was like doing archaeology. They were so baked in their concrete. But then, after I managed to get them out, we had that rain. Yippee, finally. And the rain just did enough softening that I could actually get in here and put some more brassicas in. And this lot are, what are they? Oh yes, purple sprouting broccoli, and just a few spares over there with some temporary netting. Didn't have time to do anything more proper than that. But yeah, it's wow, it's getting hot. I've just noticed the last brassicas in my cold frame massively need watering. I'll do that in a second. And then over here, well, look, yay! I finally have some green on my fence. This is all the akocha. That was that one little seed that I put in. Again, in a bit of a fit of desperation, really. And then, I'm just going to come this way, I had a couple of spare squash seeds. I can't remember what I put in. Is it galette? Maybe. And look, it's going up and up and up and up and up. And up and up and up and up and up. And then its friend next to it is coming along here onto the deck under my deck chair, and then look out the other side. So it gives me a little tickle as I sit there. Although, to be honest, the last few days have been so hot, I haven't really been doing much sitting in my deck chair. But it's nice to finally see a bit of green over there. It's sort of what I wanted all along. But, you know, it's a new space, so I'm learning. I'll take some lessons from this year and apply them to next year. And then in the herb bed, I need to start gathering some various blooms. So, for instance, the tansy, which is this lovely bright yellow, I will be harvesting the flowers of that to give to a friend of mine who makes her own dyes. So I mentioned the tansy to her earlier in the year, and she said, oh yes, please, I would really appreciate that. So that'll be going to her. I haven't harvested any more of the lavender just yet because the bees are still enjoying it so much. But it's lovely. It is starting to it's all starting to fill up. Yay, happy days. Oh, I look forward to a little sit down in my deck chair again in a second. Oh yeah, and another so many randoms this year. Another random squash. Again, got no idea what I've put in there. This is definitely the year of it was, when was it? I think it was about the middle of June, wasn't it, when I had that couple of days when I was just saying, oh, stuff it, just chuck everything in, chuck it in anywhere, don't matter, just cover the soil. But I think, considering the heat and the drought, it ain't looking too bad, is it? Oh gosh, it makes me so happy. I mean, it just makes me happy to be here anyway, but then to know that this is all food, it's crazy bonkers. I mean, you would do all this just for pleasure, wouldn't you? Never mind getting any food out of it. Love it. Loving how it's all so lush at the moment. Oh, well, it won't stay lush unless I water it, will it? So I think it's time to get a good soaking on here and then beat a retreat out of this hot sunshine. So I'm going to say cheerio to you all for now. I hope your gardens are surviving. I hope you're having occasional bits of rain and respite from this heat. I'm going to go and plonk myself there now. I'll see you all again really soon, I hope. But in the meantime, take care and happy watering.